Hi, I'm Jake Zwart. I'm a Mendenhall postdoctoral fellow with the US Geological Survey Data Science Branch. I'm presenting on behalf of everyone in both the Methods and Cyber Infrastructure working groups who are listed here. So the goal of the Cyber Infrastructure Working Group is to make it easier to implement, archive, and share automated iterative forecasts so that any research group can develop a forecasting model and deploy it in an automated system. One of the main activities of the Cyber Infrastructure Working Group was to decide on guidelines for reproducibility for the Neon Forecasting Challenge, and they came up with a tiered system where Tier 1 is having a forecast output in a standard format with documentation. Tier 2 would include any source code and ancillary data for producing a forecast. Tier 3 would be a fully contained forecasting application in a container or virtual machine with exact versions and libraries for producing the forecast. Another major activity of the CI working group was to explore platforms for archiving forecast outputs and running forecasts. So they came up with some requirements for these platforms, including being publicly accessible, viable long-term, machine-readable, writable, and also working well with frequent updates, which is coming from an iterative forecast. Then they looked into how well do existing systems fit these requirements and came up with some candidate platforms, including the Open Science Framework, Zenodo, DataOne, Environmental Data Initiative, Dryad, Cyverse, and the Knowledge Network for Biocomplexity. And a full exploration of these of their capabilities coming in most likely in the form of FE blog post. The CI and methods working groups are also building tools for forecasting challenge, and they've already created some software or prototyped some software that's on the EcoForecast GitHub organization, including tools for downloading meteorological forecasts, forecasting workflow examples, example containers, and tools for visualizing forecast output. I also realized that there's a lot of software needs from the community, and we're looking for input from the community for these different software needs. And you can add a new software need as a new issue on this GitHub repository, the FE Software Needs repository. The Methods Working Group aims to advance the statistical methods and tools for forecasting and translating these tools into software that's usable by ecologists. Furthermore, the group wants to make aware of tools that already exist for completing forecasting tasks. And the short-term goal of the group was to build awareness of tools and packages that are useful for these forecast tasks. So if you're new to forecasting, it may be a bit daunting at first when you see all these different terms and tools and software that's thrown around. You might not even know where to get started. So the methods group was trying to take all these tools and methods and organize them into different forecasting tasks to make it a little bit less daunting. Medium-term goals of the working group include providing best practices for tools and tasks, gap analysis on tools not available for forecasting is kind of similar to the software needs in the CI group, and potentially organize a workshop to develop a strategic plan. So for the short-term goals, the group laid out 4 broad categories of tasks that are needed for forecasting, including reproducible forecasting workflows, modeling and statistical resources, including uncertainty quantification, data ingest, cleaning, and management, and visualization, decision support, and user interfaces. So calling these different blog post tasks views, which is inspired by the R task views that curate R packages for certain computation needs, such as like time series analysis. And they're meant to provide guidance on tools used for forecasting tasks. And it's supposed to be an intro into forecasting and providing tricks of the trade based on the expertise of the working group. It's not supposed to be comprehensive. Furthermore, it's supposed to be a living document, so any suggested additions you can add to the link at the bottom of this slide. So the first task view that's already been published at the URL at the bottom of this page is on reproducible forecasting workflows. And the reproducible forecasting workflows is supposed to build trust between stakeholders and scientists, increase scientific transparency, and make forecasting workflows a little bit more fault tolerant. And this task view covers these 10 items listed here. I'm not going to go into it just for time's sake. Second task view is being worked on right now by several members of the Methods and CI group. And this covers modeling statistics and uncertainty quantification. This blog post will help tailor methods for specific forecasting problems and also provide methods for uncertainty quantification, which is essential for decision support and also improving modeling predictions. And the items listed in this task view are covered here. So we're also looking for more involvement in the Methods in Cyber Infrastructure Working Group if you want to be involved. Future activities include covering this archiving platform, which is doing this three-tiered system of output, code, and containers. Um, Possibly developing a community cyber infrastructure plan, 2 more task views to work on, and obviously we welcome more ideas if you have some.